Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again with another gadget that I think you'll find pretty cool. It's the Anker Powerhouse 200, which is essentially a gigantic battery bank that provides both AC and DC outputs on the front, as well as a wide range of ports and different connection standards to safely operate and charge most of the devices you'll want to take on your next road trip. Now, I test a lot of these portable power solutions, and quite honestly, most of them I find are missing a feature or two out there in the field, and you've got to compromise if you're buying that product. Anker has done an excellent job of incorporating all the things I care about into a nice little package that's easy to carry along. Now, as part of this clip, what I'd like to do is an unboxing first, really quickly to show you what comes with the kit so you understand exactly what you get when you buy one. Then I'll spend some time doing close-ups of the product and explaining some of the features and functions that really separate this from the pack when you compare it to other charging solutions out there. And then finally, I'll come back and talk a little bit more about my experience with it, because I've been testing it for the last couple of weeks, and how I use it out in the field. So let's start with the unboxing. When you pop open the box, there's not a lot of stuff in there. There's some protection so it doesn't bounce around too much, but you'll find the Powerhouse 200. You'll find a charger, and you can use this to charge the unit. There's a plug in the back that mates up with this barrel connection. You can plug it in the wall, and it takes a couple hours to fully charge the unit. And they also include a really complete owner's manual that gives you all the information you need to understand how to charge it, what the limitations are for current and things like that, how to make the connections, how to read the indicators up front. And there's warranty information in there and contact information in there as well if you have to get a hold of the company with questions. Now, I haven't talked a whole lot about Anker in this clip, but if you're familiar with the channel, I've reviewed a bunch of their products before, and Anker's a company that's been in this market for quite some time. They make a wide range of products, including portable charging solutions like this. They make wall chargers, cables, car chargers, pretty much anything you need to put electrons into a device that you're taking out in the field. Anker's got a product to fit that bill. So I trust them when they make a product like this, but I also want to test it, because when I'm looking at a product like this, I'm really judging it on a couple of different features. The first thing I want to know is, how do I get electrons into the unit? Is that something I charge from the wall? Is there a specialty charger? Are there multiple ways to get those electrons in the unit? The second thing I care about is, how do I get the electrons from inside the unit back into a portable device when I'm out in the field? So what kind of connections do you give me up front? Do I have a 12-volt connection? Do I have a USB-A, USB-C? Is there an AC unit on the front? And by the way, is that AC unit a pure sine wave or is it a modified sine wave? So all those things really come into play. And the third thing, which is probably the most important criteria, is how safe is the unit? Because again, connecting this up to one of my expensive portable devices like a cell phone that might have cost me $600 or $1,000, this thing has to be right on the money as far as the voltage and current that is pushing at that device, because if it's thrown too much current or the wrong voltage at it, I can damage that device simply by connecting it up to this unit. So all those things are important, and I'll talk again at the end about how Anker has really nailed all those things down. And just one thing I want to point out is the simple fact that with the USB connections alone, they use a USB-C connection on the front. A lot of these chargers have USB-C, which is the new modern standard that most of the phones and portable devices are going to. But they've taken it up a step by actually including a USB-C PD or power delivery, which means this can charge all your modern devices at a higher current than a standard USB-C connection would. So that's interesting enough on its own. But back to that point about how do I get electrons into the unit, I can either charge this with the brick when I'm home. I can charge it through that same USB-C PD connection up front. That's a lot to say, but a USB-C PD connection up front. So if I've got a portable charger that with me, I can charge it from that one, or I can connect it up to a wall charger, or even charge it from a car charger or my phone. Not only do I have a lot of versatility to get the electrons out, but I have a tremendous amount of options to charge the thing up and get the electrons into it. So that's just one thing I'm pointing out. The other thing I want to mention is the protections, which are really important, because Anker's thought about, how do I make this safe enough where I'm not going to cause problems when I'm charging it, but more importantly, not cause problems when I'm charging another device? And they've built in, I think, 11 different protections into the unit, where it's over voltage protection, over current, over temperature, surge protection built in. So if you snap in a device when you're charging other things, the unit will adjust for that so the inrush current doesn't damage the device. So they've really built this thing to an incredibly high standard. On the AC output, it's a pure sine wave output. That's super important if you're running things like computers, or if you're plugging in a TV to it. All those things really rely on pure sine wave AC current coming in, and a lot of the other ones do a modified sine wave, which is sort of a sawtooth wave, which isn't that clean, and over time that can really quickly damage TVs or some of those sensitive electronics you want to plug into it. So stay tuned next, and I'll do the close-up, and then I'll come back with some conclusions. And during that close-up, I'll point out again some of the cool features that this product provides that may be missing on other units that you're considering. Now we'll take a closer look at the Anker Powerhouse 200. And its name actually comes from its size, because fully charged, this product can supply 219 watt hours of internal capacity and its battery capacity is 57,600 milliampere hours, which means inside this tiny little package, you have more than enough energy to keep all of your thirsty portable devices fully charged for a long day in the field. Now, to charge the unit itself, you have a couple of different options. The easiest way is to use the port in the back. The included power supply, you would plug one end to the wall. The other end has a barrel connection on it that plugs into the top over here. That's the fastest way to charge this unit. And depending on how much you've discharged it, you can probably top it off and have it fully charged in a few hours. On the front of the unit are all the connections you'll make to charge your external devices. And there are basically two sides to this. That's the DC side and that's the AC side. I'll start on the DC side. You have a familiar connector right here, which you'll see in most cars nowadays. It's called the 12-volt accessory outlet. The difference between the Anker unit and a lot of the ones we test is that even though they have this connection on the front, they don't supply a lot of current. Now, the Anker product, the Powerhouse 200, gives you a full 60 watts of power over on this connection, which means at 12 volts, if you do the math, that's a 5 amp current supply. And that's great because a lot of the car adapters you'll use that you want to plug in there require a certain amount of current to be available to even function to charge whatever device you've got hanging off them. So if you're going to trickle charge, drone batteries or something like that, you need a little extra current in there. So 60 watts is one of the highest we found for a standard accessory outlet like that. In the middle, I've got a bunch of USB connections. There are two USB-A connections on the bottom and a USB-C on the top. You'll notice the USB-A connections are blue, and that's to indicate that they're IQ connections. And what Anker means by that is those connections are intelligent, and there's electronics inside the unit that the minute you connect something here to an external device, this product does a little bit of a handshake to sort of investigate how much power that device needs to fully charge it. So it checks to see what charge level it's at, what voltage it can handle, what current it can handle, and it delivers just the right amount of current and the exact right voltage to charge that product as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. And each of these are independent. Now, what's really interesting is all three of these together will supply 30 watts of power. So you've got a tremendous amount of charging current. That means 2 amps, 2 amps, and 2 amps for the three of them, which is really high for a USB connection. So you're getting full throughput for power charging. It's going to charge it quickly and safely, which is nice. Now, one of the things I want to point out about this top connection, you'll notice it's labeled PD, and that's important because USB-C is a standard that a lot of companies are putting on their portable power banks. But PD means that it's a USB-C connection that also has the intelligence in it to recognize devices that can charge at a higher current or at a power delivery current. So if you're connecting up a Nintendo Switch or the new iPhone or some of the Android products, having a USB-C port that's PD compatible means that it's going to fire a higher voltage at that phone and charge it a lot more quickly. So that's a really important feature, and again, different than a lot of the chargers we've looked at. So that's the DC side of things. Two other things I want to point out, in addition to charging it through the port in the back, and you can even charge it through the PD port. So that's a bidirectional port that you can supply power to an external device. You can also charge it through that PD port. So I like the flexibility when I'm in the field to be able to charge it from my car or even charge it from a wall charger if I forget to bring the brick along. On the right-hand side is the 115 volt AC outlet. Now again, this is different than a lot of the companies on the market today because it supplies a full 100 watts of power on this outlet, which means you can run high current devices. You can't arc weld with it, but most of the stuff you're going to want to take in the field, a small lamp, a charger for your laptop, chargers for other devices, you can plug in there and you're going to be fine. The big difference here though, and the advantage Anker has, is that generating that AC current from a DC supply can be a tricky thing to do, and a lot of companies kind of cut corners and they don't generate what's called a pure sine wave where you're getting that actual zigzag sine wave. You're getting a modified sawtooth, which will give you the voltage and it will give you the current, but it's going to slowly damage that device because it's not a pure sine wave. What these guys have done is built in a circuit that's smart enough to generate a pure sine wave output, which means you're going to be totally safe plugging in those sensitive electronics devices to this product and not have to worry about them overcharging or damaging them because of that modified sine wave. The cabinet itself is really well built. There's rubber on the front, rubber on the back. There are feet on the bottom, so you put it down, it's not sitting on the wet ground. You've got an aluminum case here, so it's really high durability. You've got venting on the back to let some of the heat out from the electronics inside when you're charging and discharging. They've really just done a great job putting this thing together. And again, it's not too heavy to take out in the field. I've had this out for long days, walking through fields and taking the drone out to fly, and you bring it along, you can charge your devices. It's not really that heavy, it's not too burdensome. I hope the overview and close-up discussions were helpful in showing you just how special this Anker Powerhouse 200 product really is. Now, I've used this product for the last couple of weeks under a wide range of different circumstances. I've taken it with me flying my quad a few days. I was able to trickle charge my batteries, charge my phone, charge my controller. I've had it in the car, the boat, we've taken it camping. We actually had a power failure in New Jersey twice in 1 week when that hurricane blew through. And the first thing I did was grab a flashlight and go hunting for this Powerhouse 200 because I needed that to charge my phones, run my laptop. I've plugged lamps into it so we had light until the power came back on. The product just works. It's really built to last and be really easy to use. Now, comparing that to other products on the market, Anker didn't just build a pretty complete product. They actually built in advanced features you won't find on a lot of the other products on the market, because believe me, I get manufacturers all the time that contact me and say, Rick, we've got a brand new power bank. We want to send it to you and you can do a review of it on your channel. So they send me the product. I bring it in, I start testing it. I find out it can't really do half the things they claim it can do, and I'm not the kind of guy that can put a clip together and say, boy, this company stinks, they didn't really build a cool product here, so you never see the clip on the channel. I just send the product back and say, look, nice try, but work on these 3 things or 4 things, and then send me the one when you modify it. Anker's not that kind of company. Like I mentioned before, I've tested a lot of their products on the channel. Pretty much every product they've sent me does what they say it does, and I find that it's got advanced features built into it that other companies really aren't thinking about. So I'll give you some examples of that. On the front of the unit, I've got a full-size port over here, which is the same size as the one in your car. We used to call them a cigarette lighter adapter, but now they're called a power port. But what's different about this one is a lot of the other companies will put that kind of port in the front of their charger, but they'll limit it to maybe 15 or 30 watts, which means you can plug a standard charger into that, but it may not have enough current to charge the thing you're trying to charge. They give you a full 60 watts on here, which is 5 amps of current at 12 volts, so that's incredibly powerful, which means most of the chargers you would use in your car you can use on this device. I like the fact that they give me 3 USB connections next to it. I've got 2 USB-A connections, which are full-size connections. Any cable out there that'll plug into this will charge the device on the other end of it. But they've also built in a USB-C connection, which is the latest standard that's used on the new iPhone, the Android devices, the Nintendo Switch. But it's not just a USB-C, it's a USB-C PD, which is power delivery, which is the higher standard that can fast charge those devices. They didn't have to do that. They could have left it just be USB-C, but they built in PD on top of that. And then to this side of it, that's the DC current. On this side, I've got an AC outlet. Now that's where it gets tricky. You're getting 100 watts of power out of that outlet, which means you can plug in a lamp with a 100-watt light bulb, and because it's got 219 watt-hours of power inside of it, you can run that light for a little over 2 hours. But the important thing to remember is it's not just AC coming out of there. It's AC pure sine wave, which is extremely important if you're running any kind of electronics. So if you plug a laptop charger into that outlet and it's not pure sine wave, you could damage that laptop. You could damage anything electronic you plug in there if it's like a modified sawtooth, which is what most companies build, which is a really dirty way to generate AC. So that's important. And then the final thing I'll talk about is, I mentioned before about how I care about how I get electrons into the unit, because I want the most flexibility I can get when I'm charging the product. Most of these companies will include a wall brick that you charge it at home, take it with you in the field, then you're on your own. The fact that Anker thought about that and said there may be times when they're out in the field where they've used it at a location, they're driving to a second location and want to charge it again from their car. So they give you the option to use the power brick on the back or charge it through the USB-C PD port in the front. So no matter where I'm going, no matter what charger I have with me, I know I can throw electrons at it and recharge it and have it be completely fully charged, ready to go when I end up at that second location. So I love that they did that. The cosmetics of it are great too. They've built in rubber bumpers on both ends, so if you drop this thing on the ground, heaven forbid, you're not going to damage the unit or damage the batteries inside. A lot of the other competitors build a full metal unit, which seems like it would be really durable, but if you drop that on a hard surface, you're going to ding a corner of it. You may damage the batteries inside. Really comfortable handle, make it easy to carry. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the size, because I know a lot of people are saying, it's only 57,600 milliampere hours, Rick. That's really not big enough for what I need to do. I'm here to tell you that it is, because somehow companies that build these think bigger is better. And in a lot of places that's probably true, but not with power banks, because my fear is that if you build a power bank that's gigantic and you take it out in the field, you use it for a couple of days, and when you bring it home, you have more than 50% of the charge on the thing, you've carried a really heavy device out in the field you didn't need to carry with you. It could have been half the size. So the fact that this will handle 219 watt hours, 219 watt hours means I've got plenty of power in there to charge all the stuff I'm going to take out for a couple of days on the road if I'm reasonable. I don't really want a big one. I want something Not too big, not too small, right in the middle, and that's exactly what this product provides. So for me, this is the perfect package. It's really easy to carry. It's not terribly heavy compared to the other ones on the market, and it just gets the job done. So that's pretty much all I had to say about it. If I've missed anything or you have further questions about the product, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. We got a lot of clips coming out this month and next month, so you're going to want to stay tuned to the channel. I have a ton of drone videos coming out. We've got home security cameras, a bunch of other things around Wi-Fi and new technology you're going to want to hear about. If you've got a suggestion for something you want us to cover, drop in the comments below as well. We'll do our best to get a hold of the manufacturer or just outright buy the product and bring it in and do the testing for you, because I love going into detail about technology. I'm a nerd squared, if there's such a thing, where if I can get my hands on new technology and test it and explain what the benefits are to you guys, that's what I'm all about. And that's really what this channel is all about. So thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button down the bottom, because we have the 12 days of Christmas coming up in a couple of weeks. You're not going to want to miss that, because we're giving away a lot of cool stuff this year, just like we've done at Christmases past. But more importantly, we got a lot of cool stuff coming. So if you subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell, next time I put up a clip like this, you'll get a little ding and you'll know what's up. So that's pretty much it for today. So until next time, stay nerdy.